Start it all over
We're
again.
starting again. I call the 12:15 Killam School Building Committee to order. We have people online, so we're gonna do a roll call vote. Pat?
Here.
Sean?
Here.
John?
Yes, I'm here.
Chris?
Here.
Kirk?
Here.
Ed?
Here.
Greg? And I don't see Greg yet. And Nancy, here. Super. Quick review of our agenda. We'll have public comment. We have liaison reports. We are gonna talk about requests for proposals, our three, we're just gonna get an update on that. We'll talk about fence design. We'll get Collier's financial review of all the invoices from Collier's, LBA, modulars, and other. We'll talk about commitments, of the bid documents, the facilities clerk contract, the church parking lot, and anything else. We'll go to Collier's schedule review, talk about early packages, the pre-qual working group discussion, off-site improvements and add alternates, approve prior meeting minutes, and future agenda items, and then adjourn. We have a lot of votes listed as well. So, is there any public comment? None in the room, any public comment online? I don't see any. Okay.
Doesn't look like any.
Nope. So we'll move to liaison reports. Does anybody have a report they'd like to give? Justin. Okay, we will do anything? Justin, you want to do that?
Do we wanna go through just an update on the RFPs?
Sure.
For liaison report, sure. Is that on? Is it line up to be on, just so okay, thanks. So we had our RFPs due today. We did get a couple of pricing in for each RFP that we issued, such as the code review and the testing. As far as the tax consultant, I did have quite a bit of conversation with quite a bit of different tax firms on how they can go about providing these services, because it's not necessarily something that they say that they can help, but as far as providing a proposal, they need to kind of sit down and understand with like our budget and a little bit more information than we have provided in an RFP. So I'm gonna be able to give them that information. As far as the other ones we had, they're all due today. I think if we're accepting the proposals on the RFPs for the tax consultant, I'm not sure how that process will be. I believe we'll have to extend that deadline with the advertisement and just say we're extending that deadline in case any other firms have a problem with it. I believe it's, you have to extend the advertise publicly if you do not collect any proposals on that date.
So you haven't gotten any?
So just for the tax consultant, I haven't got any.
Okay.
The other ones we have proposals, and then we'll kind of level those, and for our next building committee, we'll have those to present and recommend for approval.
Any questions on that? No. Okay.
Yeah, I had two liaison reports. One is related to security item and question that we have, which is about the level of security that's provided at the vestibule. So in like quite an early meeting, we received guidance that it was desired for the transaction window that's separating the vestibule, the receptionist from the vestibule, for that to be a ballistic glass. And now, so we have a question of what level of ballistic, and then should that wall around the transaction window also be ballistic protection? The police chief's opinion is yes. We're just looking for feedback from the KS from this group to kind of agree that which is the right approach.
And do we have costs for those?
We do not yet have costs. We can get costs with the 90%, and then I can bring that back as a kind of item for decision making at that point after the 90% pricing.
Okay, cause I know, is Mike on? Mike's on. I know Mike had a,
Yes, I'm here.
yeah, I know Mike, you and I had a discussion on it in terms of like what you've seen in other, I mean, certainly we can do what we want. It just matters what we want to do within budget and things like that. And Mike had talked about before what he saw in other schools.
Yeah, so I can give you a quick update on that, Carla, or maybe kind of give everybody an update on what I had discussed with you, if that's what you'd like.
Sure.
So certainly this is an ever-changing item in school construction. 20 years ago, nobody talked about any of this, and now it's part of everyday construction. So I have seen one school in the recent past that, for example, used school guard glass or similar type glass on the entire first floor of the building. That's the exception to the rule, if you will. Most of the schools I work with, they consider it at main entries, things of that nature, which I think is what we're looking at here. For example, with the vestibules, oftentimes it's not on the first level of glass, but it's on the second level. So that way there, you always encourage people to leave. If somebody comes in and they want to cause problem, if they want to leave, you want to let them leave, you can always follow back with them, and the police can always follow back with them later, but you don't ever want to put a situation where you're kind of detaining somebody and you're not the police. So from that perspective, what we typically see is around the main entries, things of that nature, whether it's at the vestibule or the windows, maybe just outside of that, you might see something along this line. Certainly at a transaction window, like what we're looking at, we see that. In the past, I haven't seen the ballistic walls. I'm not saying that that's something you shouldn't do, but I just haven't done that in the past myself on any of the schools that I've done.
What is the additional design that you would do for that to make it,
We add like a Kevlar interlayer in the wall. We can either do that or make it out of CMU, like
What
concrete block.
are the walls? The walls drywall at the moment?
It's drywall, yeah.
Okay,
So we
could
could
make-
either
You can make a CMU.
that would be another option. We're gonna look at the pricing options for both.
It's a small item.
It's a small item, yeah.
There's not much wall.
It's
is
not
there?
much wall,
No,
yeah.
I think it's
Where would you,
an architect's system.
I'm just trying to visualize the lobby area. We do this with police stations, this is common. It's not really common with a school, but every police station, when you walk in, there's a lobby, there's a bulletproof, probably a level 3 or level 4 ballistic transaction window. And then all the walls are either CMU or they have the Kevlar interlayer. And that lobby is, in a police station, it's not very big, a little different here. And it's almost, I'm just trying to envision the entrance to the building. It's kind of open, right? You go right into that.
You go in, you're in the vestibule, and it would be between the vestibule and where the receptionist is in that wall. So if she ducks
Okay.
down below her desk, and she's protected.
It would be two, right? Because there's one on either
Both,
side?
Yeah, on either side.
Madam Chair.
yeah, if everybody could just speak up, like maybe speak into these more. Yeah, check
Okay.
that.
Madam Chair, just as a point of information for the committee, typically security-related conversations there's a certain security that we carry around them with town projects, and so just be mindful of that. That's been our practice. I'm not sure how that practice would with other previous facilities, security-related work, and so just be mindful of that now as we have that conversation.
Great point. So maybe what we could do is, if you could price it all out for us,
Mhm.
and we will bring it back to that design committee.
Sure.
If anybody has any comments, we'll hear comments now.
One of the comment, Joe, I know several years ago, we went through town-wide, we went through a security analysis. It was one of the things that came out about the current Killam, how challenging it was. So we went through a pretty detailed process, so we should definitely make sure Joe is in the loop on everything you're suggesting. I mean, pretty much went through the entire
All the town and school buildings.
yeah, all the town and school buildings and assess them within the last 5 years for security measures. So we just want to be consistent with what we've done.
So.
Yeah, and to Jane's points, we held discussions debriefing that in executive session, which is an option here.
We have a security team in the town as well, so we can run that through them too.
Okay.
So on the,
There's the lobby and the
what are we
vestibule.
talking about, Jen, in terms of the walls which are effective?
So the wall between the vestibule and the reception.
Just that one? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
Is that a transaction window on the other side as well?
Yes, same condition.
If the doors are not secure, what's the point of having those areas particularly secure, is it? You know, it seems to me like.
So, John, I think the blue line that I put here is glass, and that would be a ballistic glass or a school guard glass type
School
thing
board glass.
situation. And then these walls are the walls that have the red. That's the actual transaction window there. So we would be talking about that wall or potentially that wall, something like that. And I do think it probably is appropriate to maybe have these discussions in a more private situation, like an executive session. But this, I just wanted to show everybody so they can have a general idea of where we're talking about.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The other update, and I'm sorry I can't share because the internet is not working, for me at least.
I had to switch to.
I have it on HubSpot. If
Okay.
you search me, my phone.
Do you want to come back to me? Do you wanna-
Sure.
If I get set up here.
Yeah. Oh, because you have the fence design as well.
That's what I was going to try to show you, yeah.
Okay, so I put this item on the agenda. It is, we're calling it the fence design. It is the fence on Haverhill Street where the back of the cafeteria is and the Rise preschool. And we have had discussions as to, perfect. We have had discussions in terms.
Jenny, this is what we had from the other day. I don't know if that helps.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. We've had discussions with multiple people about the roadway and how that's gonna look in terms of sidewalk and bike lane and parking and how wide each of the lanes will be. Thank you, Mike. And so and then there's a tree line, and then we're talking about that whole fenced-in area. I don't know if, and I would like to have a discussion with the committee in terms of the proposals that we got from the designers.
Sure. So where Mike is indicating in the red, we have two different fence options that we're looking at for this area. And as Carla said, kind of going from the roadway, there's a buffer, like a bike lane buffer, then there's a bike lane, then there's the parking lane, then the sidewalk, then a row of trees, and then you get to the fence. And the concern is moving all these kids, this is the playground for the 3 and 4-year-olds, close to this relatively high-speed road. A concern has been raised several times by different people that play area be protected from the potential of a vehicle that might go off the road. So we have two options. Mike, yeah, if you go to that page. So the first option is two fences. So the first is a vehicular cable barrier. So this is kind of similar to a guardrail. Those cables kind of stretch if a vehicle crashes into it, and it's designed to stop a certain size vehicle. So we're using a 15,000-pound vehicle traveling at 50 miles per hour as our kind of design vehicle, and it would stop that vehicle within 3 feet. So then, but it kind of stretches that 3 feet, right, to stop the vehicle. So then 3 feet away, we have then the ornamental fence, which is just keeping the kids in on the playground and out of that 3-foot zone. So that is the first option.
Mike, can you back that up so we can see that? Perfect. So you can see the dad walking with the child and then that
Right.
smaller.
So the dad is on the sidewalk, like the outside side, the street side, and then the taller fence is on the kids would be to the left of that.
What would be
So
between?
the baby's not on the safe side.
Yeah.
That baby is in his father's arms and it's perfectly as safe as can be.
What would be proposed to be between
It's
in
got
that
three,
3
it's got
feet?
3 feet.
I know,
We
but
have
what
like just
material?
paving,
Okay.
yeah.
You want something which, well, it's not very accessible, so you want something which doesn't need maintaining.
Right,
Exactly.
that was my concern.
And if you go, Mike, to the next slide, the next option is a low wall, like a structural wall with some manufactured stone on top. And that would be 32 inches high, so the same height as like a Jersey barrier, and that's what would stop the vehicle, and then an ornamental fence on top. And what we had a extensive discussion a couple days ago, and kind of what about the pros and cons, the differences between these two fences. We think they're both equally safe, essentially for the kids. Both will stop a vehicle. The cable fence is potentially a little safer for drivers because it stops the vehicle a little bit slower rather than running into a wall. We think the stone option is more attractive, but it's also significantly more expensive. So we did cost these. So if you might go to the cost page. And this is like a rough order of magnitude estimate, but that double fence, line 1 is around $270,000, and the low wall plus fence is around $460,000.
And people see the option 3 there. We discussed that and decided to remove that just because it wasn't as safe as the other 2.
There was also discussion with the stone fence, it's just a stone facade, that if that gets hit, that potentially pieces of the stone could
Right.
be projectiles towards it.
But so to mitigate that, we wouldn't have any stone on the back of it. So there wouldn't be any pieces that can fly into the playground side.
Most vehicular fences are not designed to stop a vehicle doing that, but it's deflection.
Mhm.
That's what the highway fences do. They deflect. They don't. It's very difficult to stop a vehicle that's going straight like that.
Yeah. This is Phil. Can I raise a question?
Sure.
This was the first thing I noticed when I first joined the district a year and a half ago, and I looked at why in God's name would you be putting a child's playground up against Haverhill Street? Because my first question was, what are you going to put up there to stop an 18-wheeler from going through it? So now we're talking about a fence that's designed to stop a 15,000-pound vehicle. Well, that's nice. But have we done a traffic count as to how many 18-wheelers go up and down Haverhill Street and at what speed? Because, this is a foreseeable accident. And I'd hate to think that we put up a fence that's going to stop a 15,000-pound vehicle, and then we have an 18-wheeler go flying through while the kids are outside because we made a design where we put the playground up against Haverhill Street. I'm just amazed at the decision to place that playground there, and then you're talking about a 15,000-pound fence.
May I speak? This is Lee Sherwood, the architect. Hi, Bill.
And I realize I'm late to the party.
Yeah. So I just want to give you a little bit of history. We've known from the very beginning that this was something to solve. And because it was such a tight site, it was actually, and there were a lot of discussions with this SBC committee about that area and how to set up the whole thing. It's safe if we make it safe. And so the reason we're having this now is because we've actually been spending 2 or 3 months researching this with not only the traffic person who did all the traffic studies and does this for a living, on highways and everything, but also with the landscape and the civil, and also with the fence company who actually creates these kinds of fences. And they actually have videos and crash data and all that kind of stuff. They literally show, at least for the, the fence with the low fence, they actually show a video of their crash test with an 18-wheeler slamming right into it. So we would not, first of all, we take it extraordinarily seriously as you do, and that's why we're here. Second of all, it's been a lot of gathering information because they all have different criteria and different sets of experience. So what we've learned, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of jumping in, what we've learned is that we're outside of the zone where we are allowed, we're actually allowed to build a wall because we're outside of a certain distance from the roadway where you actually couldn't build a wall. It's actually 20 feet or something like that on this road at those speeds and all of that. They know the speeds, they know they know the trucks and the cars coming in. And what we're trying to do is figure out which of, and both of these can work, especially since we'll have them designed to stop the same criteria, which is that monster truck and the height and all of that. And the fence person is more verifiable because because they make a product. Do you know what I mean? That low barrier cable thing. They actually make a product, so they actually have to do all these tests and they can actually say, this is what does it. This is what happens. So there's a physics behind that. The wall is while we can design a wall to take those forces, it's a little different. We have to design it a little differently with a structural engineer to take all the forces. But there were decisions made early on about why not to put the building right on the street and to create that space out front, as long as we can make it safe, because it is a big building and it's better pulled away from the street. So that was just my quick wrap up of it. And what we're trying to do is, so welcome aboard, and we'll catch you up every time.
And I appreciate that, but my concern is just a parent of a 3-year-old is not going to care about the physics.
Yeah. Well, what we care about is making those children safe.
Yes, but you can't guarantee it. Whereas if you didn't place it there in the first place, you could. That's my point.
Well, with all due respect, you can't guarantee anybody is safe anywhere. I think what we're looking at here is a straight line of road. If I zoom in here a little bit, sorry. The travel lanes that we're talking about are out here. We have a buffer zone, we have a bike lane, we have a parking area, we have a sidewalk with a raised curb, then we have tree lines, and then we're looking at either the fence with the wall or the double fence with the barrier. So I think we have gone pretty extensively. Like, again, we already talked about an option 3 that was canceled earlier because it didn't give the safety factors that these other 2 options do. But the general understanding is if this was on a curve or something like that, we might consider it a little bit differently. But where this is on a straight road, straight section of road, it is less likely that somebody's going to veer off. If they do, they have quite a bit of space before they get from that travel lane through the buffer, through the bike lane, through the parking, over the curbing, over the sidewalk, and through the trees before they hit that first barrier. So I
just want to express my concerns, and I appreciate you all for listening to them.
Jenny, do you know the current situation? I think right now there's a chain link fence with ball fields where kids play baseball on the other side of it. Do you know where that chain link fence sits relative to the new fence we're talking about putting in? Like, is it closer to the street?
Closer to the street.
It's closer to the street, so we're moving.
New fence?
We're taking.
The existing fence is closer to the street than the proposed new fence.
So we're not necessarily changing the use because we have small children playing t-ball gathered immediately on the other side of the fence currently with a chain link fence that's closer to the street with no bike lane and no buffer zone. So we've added a buffer zone, a bike lane.
And trees.
Trees, moved the fence back and beefed up the fence as an improvement over the current situation, which arguably is the same use. We have a busy street, a fence, and a gathering place for small children. T-ball, everyone in the dugout sideline area, which I believe one of those fields is typically played with home plate up against the fence, so you have an entire team tax against the fence. So we're not changing the use necessarily, but we're taking significant steps to increase the safety. Okay. One other question, the wire guardrail, is that from a form and function effectively like the same as a timber or like a guardrail you see on the highway? Is it?
No,
Or is it-
it's more secure. It's actually designed for like embassies, like actually high
Okay.
security installations, because a guardrail, as John was pointing out, is not actually designed to stop a vehicle.
Okay.
It's designed to like keep a vehicle back, get them back on the road if they bump up against it.
Okay.
So this is designed for a different use case where it's actually designed for ramming, and that design case, the 15,000 truck, is designed for a truck that is intentionally ramming that fence at 90 degrees at 50 miles per hour.
When you
In a
design.
way, like, you could say over-designed.
I've
But
designed,
we want to be very
I've designed a
conservative.
number of these for secure places like embassies.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible to stop a vehicle because it's an energy dissipation equation. You really rely upon the crunchiness of the vehicle to take away the energy. It's almost impossible to design something like this to really stop a solid block of concrete at 15,000 pounds running into it at 20 mile an hour. It just doesn't work. The energy numbers just don't work. These are very complicated fences, these energy dissipating fences. They're very expensive. They need maintaining. They don't last forever. They've got these, I don't know about this one, but a lot of them have springs in them and stuff like that. And some of them have hydraulic systems in them. I'd recommend against it, this is what I'm saying. Having designed some of them, I'd go with a stone wall, personally.
Well, I would just look a little further into this actual fence. I mean, I'm not defending it, but it's really just cables. It's not hydraulics or any of that kind of stuff. There's no maintenance for the cables themselves. What we were concerned about, John, was if somebody does hit it, if there is an accident and somebody hits it, what's it cost to repair? But those are metal guys that are going into the ground, and they are designed, yes, to dissipate. There's a reason why you have that lower cable, at least in this case. You have that lower cable thing right there, and then 3 feet away, you have the regular fence. Because what they know is that in about 2 feet, when they do all their tests, the truck and everything can bend it all, because the cables, about 2 feet, but that's it. So they've then stopped it, and they said if we put the fence 3 feet away, the likelihood is that nothing will ever touch the fence except something sliding off, and then the fence can slow it down. So, give it a chance. We can send around the information, because I want you guys to make the right decision.
Lay, excuse me.
Go ahead.
I'm having a change of thought here. I want to bring this offline. I want to bring it to a smaller group of more people than what we currently have. Is there anybody on the committee who's interested in being in a meeting where we're going to get all this information and more information from these designers that would like to have a meeting so we can make a decision? Pat? Anybody else online? Okay. All right, I don't mean Nancy, Pat, myself, and we'll get some other people. Sorry to derail it, but I feel like that's the way we should be going with this. Okay. Thank you for humoring me, everyone. Financial review.
All right, let me just make sure I'm in close enough. Okay. For, obviously, no construction spent to date yet. For architectural and engineering, we have total expended to date, $3,902,289. We have, for administrative costs expended to date, $2,232,893. No expenditures on FF&E, but we do have some furniture testing coming up. Total spent to date is $135,183. Move on to the next page. So we have, this is our project budget adjustment. We have a budget adjustment from soft cost contingency for $8,273.74. This is for the modular relocation budget. We have two commitments. One is for what is called Gov Connection. It's a sort of like a, I believe like a Granger. This is a commitment that you saw for the budget adjustment of $8,273. This is, I believe, school committee costs that'll be covered under this commitment. And then we have the bid docs online. This value right here, the $7,650. This is more of a, it will not exceed this cost. I know the town currently has an existing account, so that's gonna kind of, I think that's gonna change how much we actually pay when we sign up for our project. But we'll be able to get the totals once we get everything signed up and locked in, but it will not exceed that value. Our expenditures, we have 7 for Gov Connection, our project, Collier's Project Leaders invoice, and I believe that's it. Yep. Do we want to do a vote now, or do you want me to keep going?
Why don't we do a vote now?
Okay.
Do you want to do a vote now, or do you want to wait?
Go through a vote.
We can do a vote now, if you want. So it's the Gov Connection Inc. that we're looking at to
Yes.
commit it, okay. Move to accept the $8,273.74 for Gov Connection Inc. In regards to the modular relocation.
Second.
Seconded by Ed. Any discussion? Take a vote. Pat?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Greg? I don't see, okay, Nancy?
Yes.
And Carla, yes. Thank you.
Move to accept a not to exceed of $7,650 for bid docs online for bid hosting.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Pat. Any discussion? We'll vote. Pat?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Carla, yes. That passes. Thank you.
Now we have the invoices.
Do we need to do a vote for the invoices? Because that was effectively for the commitments, right?
Right, that value for Gov Connection was the commitment that these invoices are going to be applied to. Now.
You want to crack that, Nancy?
Yeah, I was gonna say. So the 7,000 or the 8,273.74 is the equal of all the Gov Connection ones, is that correct?
It's not exactly equal, but they cover it.
Okay, so,
Mike usually has a total.
yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know, Mike, so I can't show both the spreadsheet and this. Hopefully Mike can pull up the spreadsheet. He can make us some value.
Give me 1 second, I'm pulling it up.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I should have had you ready.
No problem.
So Justin, in the future, can we just have a one-sheeter? Like, just a cheat sheet, so we can.
Absolutely.
That would be helpful.
I've actually asked that we, in the notes that we put, because they break them out per the MSBA codes.
Yeah.
So if we have the notes off to the side of exactly what the totals are, but we can do a one-sheeter.
So then we can just, you know,
So this is the invoices for GovConnect. You're looking for the total from the 5,000 down to the 700.
yes,
Yeah,
So the total of that is $9,162.54.
so moved for, for the Gov Connection invoices, moved to pay the Gov Connection invoices for that total.
is there a second? Seconded by Ed. Any discussion? Going to the vote, Pat,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Nancy, and
Yes,
Carla, yes.
So we have one more invoice. It's actually a credit from Gov Connection. That's just that value, the $7,929.
so do we accept that
So
credit?
we're just gonna accept that, right?
I don't know if you don't have to vote to accept it or anything. I don't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
I think so.
So that offsets the 9,000 that we just voted on, or is that?
But there'll be more. There's
Yeah,
there's
okay.
one more that will be
Okay.
encapsulated, so
Okay,
next month.
got it.
Okay. And then we have the Colliers. Mike, do you have the total for the Colliers?
Yes, the three Colliers items together would be $56,382.
Move to pay and accept the Colliers Project Leaders invoices for the total Mike just said, dated 12/4/25.
I want the invoice number.
Yeah, 1122124.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Yep, seconded by Pat. Any discussion? We'll go for the vote. Pat,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and Carla, yes. That passes.
Okay. Right now, we're still tracking just a forecast cost of the parking lot contract and the Reading clerk salary. We'll do an update on that as we move through the budget. Sure.
Sure, yeah. Whenever.
Yep. It's next, isn't it?
Yep. This is our cash flow. I usually skip past this sheet because the graph does a much better job showing it visually. So right now, we're just under what we were predicting to be billing, but as we move out throughout the months, we will definitely be coming in line, right in line with that green line. The red line represents what we've billed to date, not including this month. And as we add to it, we'll definitely start trending upwards.
Or we'll stay under budget, right?
Yeah, on budget, under budget, and on
Good
time.
answer.
Thank you.
I had beat you to it, Pat, you know?
It ain't over till it's over.
Any questions, concerns, comments about the budget? Okay.
Yeah, but what was the vehicle speed?
50.
How much?
50 miles an hour.
No,
Calculations of that.
that's ridiculous.
I'm putting them on the committee.
So I work out the energy equation here. Half mv squared over 2g, that's the kinetic energy. Cannot get rid of that with a fence. No way.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay, keep going, Justin.
Okay, so I'll move on to schedule review. Sorry, I thought we were doing something next.
Schedule,
Demo.
schedule review.
You wanna do, before you do schedule review. Do you have anything on bid docs? No?
Oh, on the RFPs. You meant bid docs?
Yeah, that's what we have under commitments. We have bid docs,
Yeah, we voted to,
that we have that already.
yep.
And we'll talk about facilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can talk about facilities clerk contract.
So We have been working on a facilities clerk position for the facilities department. We've talked about it before. And we have a position description, which I'm happy to give some more information on. Joe is here to also give some more information on the role of, thank you. Multiple microphones here, I apologize. The role of the facilities clerk is to aid the facilities department working with the OPM, the construction and the design team on site on a day-to-day basis. So because our facilities department is effectively 4 people plus custodians, is that correct? For 1 million square feet of building space. So with 2 projects that passed, that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on that staff to manage those projects, particularly Joe. So Joe, the director, has requested this position of this committee. This position would be exclusive to the Killam project. And we would like to bring this person on in the near term to begin looking at construction documents and familiarizing himself on a part-time basis initially with the project. The OPM team has worked up some budget information for us to help make a decision on sort of what's the right feel in terms of the hours and so forth. This position is projected to be $70 per hour, and will flex with what the project commitment is, and they will be located on site for the duration of the project. And we'll be meeting regularly with Joe and then helping to make decisions on site on a timely basis so that it helps move the project forward. I'm sure the committee has some questions. I'll defer to Joe on some of those questions. And that's where we are right now. So we'd like to be able to approve a budget and move forward with the hiring of the individual. We have someone in mind for this position.
So I'll open it up if there are any questions or discussion.
Can I just add?
Yeah.
I think it's well worth the time, knowing what happened at the library when we went through that. The amount of time that the facilities department had to spend there was enormous. So taking that burden off with recalc coming up is a great idea, I think. So I fully support it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot to be gained from just having an extra resource. I know it's going to be dedicated to Killam, but that sort of frees up facilities to provide resources to recal. There's kind of a lot going on in town, so I fully support it.
I support it because it's a huge commitment when, you know, we're kind of moving from design to construction. During construction, facilities is going to take that hit. And it's hard to absorb all of the hours that you need to in your regular full-time schedule. So I'm looking forward to this position as well.
I think, Madam Chair, it's really important to remember the seasonality of the work that the facilities department does. And so once this project is getting ready to break ground and doing that work over the summer, the facilities department is going to be working on their regular school building projects that they have to get done over the summer. And so Joe and his staff will be managing all of those vendors as well. And then in the wintertime, we don't always experience, our lost ones are fantastic this year, knock on wood. But things like roof delaminations and pipe freeze-ups and so forth, and they do a lot of work to monitor the status of the buildings to prevent those kinds of things. And so that's just the routine day-to-day work protecting our physical assets that the department does. And so this particular role is a highly informed construction, person who will represent the facilities department, Joe, in his role. And it is an augmentation to the fine work the OPMs will be doing. They will have an on-site clerk that also represents the town, but is working differently. And this basically is an extension of the facilities department. We just don't have the head count that we really ought to. right now.
It's an extra set of hands, that's how I look at
And eyes and another set of brain as well. So that's, so thank you for that.
it. Thank you very much for presenting that, Jane.
Energy.
Anybody else?
So it just destroys it completely.
Jane, can you just clarify, is the intent that this position exists for the duration of the project?
Correct. Only for the project.
Okay.
Yep, it would be entirely, that's why we're asking for the financial support for it from the project. It is a temporary position for the purpose of the project, for this work within the project, and would ramp up and then would phase out depending on, how, like, they're not gonna, be hanging around all the time until we reach the full closeout stage. So that will wind down. Those hours won't be necessary once the construction's, we've met substantial completion, I think. Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
James, is it 70 or 75 per hour?
I beg your pardon. Is it, I don't know. I'll defer to, I beg your pardon. 75. I misspoke.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No further discussion, then we will go to the vote. So we can bring this gentleman on. Pat?
You
need a motion first, I think.
I'll make a motion to approve a forecasted cost of $400,000 to fund the Reading clerk salary as outlined by Jane, by Assistant Town Manager.
Second?
Sorry.
Okay. Seconded by
I'm
Nancy.
usually on the other end.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Okay.
When would this person start? I mean, what's the timeline here?
January.
Just to make them,
January. They'll be starting to familiarize themselves.
Pre-construction,
Yep, that's correct, sir. Yep.
on a limited basis, just to review the bid document, to review the design documents.
Get to know the team. Come meet this team. So.
Perfect. Pat?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Carla, yes, and that motion passes. Thank you, Jane. Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much. I appreciate the team.
Thank you, team. Okay, we'll go on to church parking lot.
Church parking. Okay, so I'm going to update you with this. I'll read this statement of the record. So I've been working with Katie Gabriello, our director of operations. We do procurement together. And we spoke with Jim Fitzgerald, the business manager for Christ the King Parish, just before Thanksgiving regarding the potential parking license for Killam teachers and staff. We've spoken to him a few times. At that meeting, Jim informed us that the parish is currently undergoing a discernment process as it determines usage of its capital assets. He expects that discernment to be complete in December or January. We also discussed the number of spaces needed, 70 for staff, teachers staff, how we want to handle plowing, as the parish typically plows less frequently than we'll need for daily school use. They do plow when there's a storm, but it's sort of at the end of the day or whenever it's convenient for their plow person. So we worked with the DPW director to see if his team would be able to plow our section that we would be licensing of the lot, and he said the DPW would be able to do that so that lot will be clear in the morning for all our teachers to get in there, especially since they won't really be plowing the Killam lot right next door. So, so we'll be making those arrangements. So we need to nail down the dates that the town require those teacher spaces. We're thinking end of August 2026, then. After that statement was put together in preparation for this meeting, we received an email from Jim Fitzgerald to let us know that a set of recommendations has come out from parish meetings that they've had 11/22 and then December 11th. So just last week. They are under seal now until their pastor can get feedback from the Archdiocese. So as soon as they have something to share, they'll let us know. We don't know what this means if one church or the other will close or what's going to happen with those particular buildings. And there's a lot of emotion involved with that for parishioners that go to the two churches. So we try to be very respectful and of their process. They are currently scheduling feedback sessions with the parishioners, and So we anticipate that we might hear something right after Christmas time. It's kind of what we're thinking.
So we had it on as something we would vote on because we thought that it would be kind of sealed up, but it's not yet.
We do not have a licensing agreement to bring the committee to vote on. So you could, general conversation, I think we'll need to increase our number a little bit on what we're willing to pay for teachers. We talked about that internally, but the board's temperature on that would be helpful. And then working with our OPM, Mike and Justin have brought some good ideas forward of how we can secure space for contractors and how we might approach that. One option would be for us to schedule to claim the space and pay rent on that. Another option would be to put it in our bid documents, inform the contractor of how many spaces might be available and if they can make an arrangement with the parish directly, or a hybrid of something in between. And so there's some good conversation and things that they have experience that have done in other sites where, there's not a lot of parking in more urban sites. But that's where we are right now. So because we were not aware of a discernment process until that call we had at Thanksgiving with Jim. So it could work out well in our favor for the purposes of parking. If that building is used less frequently, there'll be more space for us to utilize.
We're fairly comfortable that we will be able to secure the spots for the teachers.
Correct.
We're just waiting to see if we're going to be able to get additional spots for the contractor.
That's correct. Yeah. So, and we let them know about DPW being able to plow, so we can make that early morning commitment, and we'll always have that space open. So, in that regard, we anticipate that we'll be able to start moving forward on that part of the gift agreement of licensing. Sorry, the licensing agreement.
Do you want to talk about the cost, or do we not want to talk about?
No, I mean, it's not a secret. We don't have a particular cost in mind. They have expressed an interest to kind of move the needle a little bit. We were planning on $10 per spot per month was the initial, and that worked out to about $700 a month. So we may need, we're well under procurement budgets if we stay at 70 spots. So we have some room to go up there if we need to work with the parish. And we're trying not to increase their costs either to accommodate our needs. Trying to, but to pay a fair price as well.
Hey, Jane, just a quick question on the snow removal. Does that, in the scenario where we would, DPW would clear those spaces, would that defer a cost for the church? Are they only going to do like one section, or would they be doing the whole thing? And that would be kind of an ancillary benefit to the parish.
I'm open to a conversation with what the committee and what DPW can realistically do. If we're paying for the spots, it's in the back, I think, of the lot, so they would have to come around and get that access and open that area up. The church currently pays, I think, a parishioner to do some of that work, and so I don't know if their appetite is to remove the work from that parishioner, or what they haven't had that conversation. I think we also, it may not be big work for us if we're having our contractors park there. We might be able to do that as well. So I haven't asked DPW that question to do the whole thing, but certainly if we can, maybe a de minimis change to clear that whole lot might be more advantageous position for the parish to say yes. So I think we'll know a little bit more when we're talking about what's the full ability to utilize the parking on that site based on the discernment.
Whatever it is, it'll be helpful for the project.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've passed that. And so if the church remains in full function, they have sometimes large funerals. They have sometimes programs that they're offering there that utilize more of the space, and that would be some of the restrictions that we could be facing, or perhaps not. So,
Okay. Thank you.
It's not as easy as we thought it would be. No. So
conversation and a close.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane
Thank you.
and Katie.
And Mike and Justin.
Yep, I might get Justin. Okay, moving on, schedule review, please.
Okay, so at the past SBC meetings, we approved the 60% CD package, which we've submitted to the MSBA, received comments, and we're going to be responding to those comments by this Friday. We're still working towards the 90% submission, which should be sometime in, I believe, February. I think it says here February. Right now, we have the early electrical switchgear package, which after this bullet item on the agenda, to approve to submit it and have it be issued through bid docs to solicit pricing for that. This kind of all ties into the next agenda items. I'm just going to keep going with it. But as we get closer to the base contract bidding, we're going to need to form a pre-qual committee who will work with the designer and the OPM to pre-qualify general contractors for bid and subcontractors for bid, and work that whole process that it takes to get these solicit these contracts and get them on board. So yeah, other than that, we're looking good. So after this, that's pretty much the schedule update. So after this, I believe we're going to move on to vote to submit the switchgear package, early electrical package, through bid docs. Any questions on schedule as far as where we're at right now or where we're headed?
So we remain convinced that we need to do an early release package on the switchgear and generator in order to meet schedule.
Just the switchgear,
Not the generator.
not the generator.
Just the switchgear.
Yeah, we were in a meeting. I think someone said something about 16 months. I can't remember if it was with this group or with another group, but someone was talking about their switchgear being 16 months out.
Yeah, Justin, if I can, I think we had an internal meeting last week and we were talking to some other Collier's team members, and they were talking about having issues with switchgears again.
Yeah.
So they were recommending if you could do early package to do it, and we said we were, and they said you were smart to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mike.
Nice
So-
segue right into
Yeah,
it.
perfect. So I don't have a document to show for that package other than the documents for that package, but it's up to you guys to take a vote to submit it.
So we're gonna vote on the early switchgear package. And that will be our only early package.
Correct.
Somebody want to so
Yeah,
move it?
so you need to vote, okay. A motion to, I guess, go ahead with submitting an early bid, invitation for bids for an early electrical package for the Killam Elementary School.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ed. Any discussion?
Is that the word electrical package? Should that be?
Says
It's on there, is it?
invitation for bids, early electrical
Okay,
package.
all right.
That's where I got it. That's where I got
You got
it.
it, okay.
I could say bid number KS
No,
26
no,
dash
in other words, it's just the
That's
switchgear.
it's just the switchgear, but it says early.
Electrical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those bid documents are complete at this time,
It's there.
Oh, yeah.
and we've gone through, town procurement has gone through the front end portion,
Oh, yeah.
et cetera. Okay.
Okay, so we,
Good to go.
any other discussion? Okay, going to the vote. Pat,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Nancy, and
Yes.
Carla, yes. Thank you, that passes.
As a matter of interest, the existing Killam has a an emergency generator, presumably. Any idea what condition it's in and whether it can be reused in the town, whether it can be salvageable or what?
Does it have one? I don't know.
Does it
I
have
think
one?
the two guys that can answer that question.
Yeah, I know,
just
I just
left.
Emergency generator there now. I'll ask.
If it could be used in another town building.
I'll ask right now.
I don't even know
I
if we
don't
have
know if
one.
there's anything you wanna salvage from that building,
Yeah.
except for a couple koalas.
Not
And a
much,
tree.
not the water.
If it's 20 years old, no, but if it's 2
Right.
years old, then
Yeah.
it could be used somewhere in the town.
I know,
Yeah.
John, we
I
we know the answer.
Yeah, well,
You do?
a
We
lot
don't know, we
of,
looked at it at one point, like 5 years ago. We'll have to
a lot
go,
of buildings don't have emergency generators now. If they're not electric, all electric buildings, they just, your heat still runs, and then if the power's out, then you don't have.
Right, maybe it
Yeah,
doesn't.
I've never seen it.
School doesn't have a lot of
I don't know,
school
she's
stuff.
using it as a shelter,
Yeah, I don't remember seeing
Ask our permanent building committee that question.
yeah.
I have the answer, I just don't have access to it right
It's
now.
like deep in an email.
No.
I just sent a message to Joe, and he's probably driving, so I don't know.
Yeah, if he gets back to us, we'll let you know.
Great question.
So for the next agenda item, for the pre-crawl working group discussion, I know we talked about the XLT. Do we have the members to vote to have them be that committee? The names of those members?
So we have Kirk.
He's not on there.
He's on the meeting.
Is he?
It's here, and
Oh, the pre-qual, sorry, Kirk.
That's okay.
No, who do we have for,
no, we didn't offer him up.
did you, what? Go
I
ahead,
thought,
Pat.
I thought we volunteered him, but
Mike
I'm thinking of
Mazzara,
something
should we
else.
put him on the committee?
It's not here. Greg's not here. Volunteer him up.
Does anybody remember who volunteered?
Carlin, if I can, I thought Kevin may have said he was doing it for the senior center and
He offered. I think you're right.
and I will just let you know, whoever does volunteer or gets voluntold here, Colliers and our design team, as well as the bid docs online people, will be doing the majority of the legwork, if you will, as far as doing calls to people about references and stuff like that. It's really to meet with us to have an general overview with it. So while we'll certainly happy to let the other committee members help us with it, we will try to make the work as light as possible for the committee members.
Okay, so Justin is on that, and Dave from LBA.
Harris, yep.
Dave Harris, and Kevin. Do you need additional people from the committee?
Typically, there's one more, that way there's 4 people. It's kind of 2 from the town and 1 from OPM and 1 from the designer.
Yeah, needs to be 2 from the town.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that the statute actually says 3 from the town, but the OPM counts technically as one of those 3.
So can you just explain to anybody who's wondering if they would like to be on the committee, what that would entail?
Sure. What we're going to do is we'll have a kickoff meeting initially, just to kind of explain the whole process. That, the short version is we'll be putting out a package to general contractors and to final submitters. That package will require them to provide pre-qualification. So they're providing proof that they've been in business for so many years, that they've done projects of similar size and similar nature. They talk about their past court procedures, if they have any. They talk about safety modification rates, which is how safe their workers are on site, various things like that. We have the ability to look at their finances as well as their DCAM rating. DCAM is the state Department of Capital Asset Management, and they rate every public contractor in every job. They collect ratings. We actually do the ratings. So on this job, we'll be rating everybody from 1 to 100. Anything over 70 is passing. But we'll be reviewing those really to make sure that they're qualified people. So the first meeting is just a kickoff, kind of being a little more detailed than what I just did, and letting everybody see what we're going to be setting out as a package, if you will. Again, Colliers will work with the design team to pull that package together. The second meeting would be after we receive all of the packages, and we're gonna be able to just, we'll start by just saying, hey, we've received 100 or 150 or 200 packages. We will, in that meeting, divvy those packages up, that if we have to make any additional calls, any follow-ups, that colleagues would do this, maybe this trade, maybe we take HVAC and LBA takes electrical or things of that nature. So we divvy it up. We let the committee know if there's any irregularities at that point, if there's anybody that maybe submitted an incomplete package or something like that, so that they have a heads up. Again, those first two meetings are relatively short. The third meeting would be after we've gone through and done the review, and we would bring it to that committee to give them a heads up of anybody that is either below that minimum standard or close to that minimum standard, and we would focus on that. And we would ask the committee members to maybe assist us with that. Again, those few would be the ones that they might review. I would say on any given project, we might have somewhere between 130 and 170 of these, and we might have 2 or 3 that fall into that category. So it's not a whole lot of them, but we do want to review those ones, and then we would go away for a week or two, and we'd come back, and at the fourth meeting, that final meeting, we would agree collectively that these people are in and these people are out, and that's going to be our recommendation back to this group that is sitting here, the building committee, and we would report back to the building committee and say that we've rejected this one or these 10, however many it is, and we're making a recommendation to move forward with, the balance.
Madam Chair, thank you for that. Thank you, Mike. 2 things. One, when is the pre-qualification process starting?
I believe it would start in the next month. I just dropped my schedule out, hang on.
It's like
According to the schedule in the, that was presented, it started a couple weeks ago. And it goes to the middle of March, so
we got plenty of time. Yeah.
We've got a little bit of time, and I think with Big Docs Online, my understanding is that they're gonna actually help accelerate that a little bit by working it through them, because they have kind of a database of a lot of the references already done, and that's the majority of the time is making calls. If you have 5 references for every submission, and there's 150 of those submissions, just imagine how many phone calls you're talking about, or emails you're talking about.
I did this on the recal project, and if the committee needs me to, I will also do it on this project. I'll be on vacation for 2 weeks at the end of the year, so I was not raising my hand in the middle of that, but I can do that if need be. So BidDocs is great. They do have all of the references that come in, and it's a little bit clunky to get to learn to use at first, but then it's pretty easy to actually use, just once you get used to it. But I think Joe Huggins also did pre-qualification on recal. So we had a pretty good team from the recal committee that worked on that. And we all took like 2 or 3 different trades. I think each of us took 3 trades. I had elevators, and we had no bids, so that was shortened my workload.
There was no bids.
Yeah, there were no bids. We had to put it back out, and then it just goes out to the contractor. So, but it really is it's a neat system, and it makes it a lot easier on the procurement team to do that. And then additionally, I would just request that, as on the recal project, the procurement team, Katie and Josh, want to attend those pre-qual meetings as they kind of work through the process with the town. So.
And for recalc, those meetings were open.
They were all posted. Yep, they were posted meetings. Nobody attended them except us, but they were all posted. And the OPM scheduled all the meetings, posted them to the clerk's office, and then sent a meeting link. And we met, went over any questions we had, worked through it. They sent us all the directions on how to use it. Worked really well. And so we initially looked at them, and when each option came in, and read what the submissions, and then BidDocs fills in all of the recommendations from design teams in other towns and so forth. You could really kind of nail it out. Like, oh, this is a project very similar to what our project is. And then they also rate and rank them. And so you already have that work done based on the rubrics you're supposed to use. And so you can change your score based on what you've read if you want to, and then change that, and then it just all calculates everything for us. So it's a really robust, system.
So it's about 4 meetings. It's a few hours worth of work. You don't need to have construction experience. And it's pre-qualifying subcontractors in certain categories for the project before it goes out for bid.
And the general contractor too, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, general contractor and filed sub bids.
So do we have anybody who might?
I can do it. I did it for the library. That was even worse. Because it wasn't all the bid docs, it was all making phone
it's a
calls.
lot. Yeah,
It was
it's
a
a
lot
lot.
of work, but this sounds pretty
Okay, thank
reasonable.
you, Nancy. All right, so it'll be Kevin Kabuzzi, Justin, David Harris from LBA, and Nancy. Super.
If you need an alternate or you need an extra hands, I'm happy to help out because I've already got this. I already know how to use the system.
Thank you. And I don't think we need to vote on that, do you?
I think you do.
Okay, let's vote on it.
Because it's like a subcommittee. We're gonna have
Right.
to post the
Okay.
meetings so that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want me to make a motion?
Please.
Motion to
Ada,
approve a subcommittee for this, for the pre-qualifications. Do you want me to include the people?
as a working group.
As a working group.
Sure.
Nancy Toomey, Kevin Kabuzzi, Justin, no,
Benzie?
Yep.
yep,
And David Harris
and David Harris.
from LBA.
Second.
Seconded by Pat. Any further discussion? Go to the vote. Pat?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Carla? Yes. Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we want to have a discussion about off-site improvements and add alternates to the site work. I'll give it a crack here and everybody feel free to jump in. Right now in our current bid documents, we have, so let me rewind. This project has a border, let's call it, and it's the site, right? And MSBA will pay for a portion of that site work, but it does not participate in the roadways and sidewalks around the site. So right now in our base bid, we have the adjacent roadways and sidewalks on Charles Street, on Haverhill Street. We have our traffic sub-consultant has worked on all of the traffic work and parking on from Wakefield Street all the way on, from Charles Street, from Wakefield Street all the way up to Haverhill, and at that point on, all the way down Haverhill to the Simons Way intersection. So, and the traffic consultants, I mean, we've had so many meetings, public meetings, that we think that work, which is under, and I shouldn't probably throw out numbers, but under $3 million for 2 add alternates. We're bringing it to the committee to, I personally feel like we should be kind of buttoning up the whole project in that whole area. If we push it back to the town, their budget is going to be, you know, I don't know when they would be able to get to it. We have, we've had some meetings on it. Andrew McNichols is looking at different grants and seeing if he can secure different grants. And if he can, if we have to make slight changes to the design, we would do that. So I wanted to bring it to the committee. We did run this by, Jane wrote a letter, and we ran this by the chair and vice chair of FinCom to ask their opinion and just to ensure, just because of the temperature in across the town, that they're good with this process that we're going through. And they did feel like it was within the scope of our project and that this committee is good to make that decision. So if our bids come back and we are, you know, within budget and we want to accept those ad alternates, that's something we'll be able to do. If the bids come in and it's out of budget, then obviously we wouldn't be including those ad alternates. So, I don't know if I've confused people, but that's how I just Lee. If we want to have a discussion on it and kind of hash that piece out.
Nancy?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a great idea, because how can you have the safety around the school if you don't look at the adjacencies to that school? We're doing work on Simmons Way, bringing that road all the way down to Simmons Way where there's a traffic light makes a lot of sense to me. So I don't see any problem with it being an ad alternate. I think also having one company who's in charge of doing all of the roadway work instead of having just the roadway work under one contract and then coming back and trying to finish it with a different contractor doesn't make sense to me either. So I support having that as an ad alternate.
Perfect. And that design work obviously was done.
Yeah.
That was already included and done through LBA.
How many ad alternates are we currently thinking about?
2.
That plus.
Just those 2. So one is the Charles Street
Right.
offsite improvements, and one is the Haverhill Street offsite improvements. That gives you the option to accept them in 2 chunks. I think the Charles Street is probably the more important, because that includes some of the parking that we kind of had said would be part of this project.
If I can, John, I think that was an important question. I think when you're doing ad alternates, they need to be simple alternates. They need to be easily biddable, if you would, and the more alternates you have in there, that tends to make the general contractors maybe a little bit concerned that you're not sure what you want to do, but I think this is clear that you're doing it probably for budgetary reasons. And certainly you want to be able to do it.
Do we, the wording of the override or the debt exclusion that went to the town to be voted on by the citizens, I can't remember exactly what it said. I think we should look at that and find out whether that's the wording of that override was consistent with doing stuff off-site.
The warrant article you're talking about when we did the debt exclusion?
I'm talking about what went to the voters, what was the actual wording that that people voted on.
We keep those very vague to account for things like this, so, I mean, we can take a look at it.
I think we should take a look.
Purposely, based on what bond council tells us and town council, something like this, I think, would fit easily into that, where it's right next to the project and it's envisioned, but.
We should have it available, right? It should be.
Yeah, no, Jane's looking at it up right now. We didn't have that.
Should be on the website.
Question. It should be on the website. So
That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
I just pulled up the drawing too, just so everybody understands. I think, Carly, you said it a minute ago, but our site is here in the middle and we're talking about doing Haverhill Street improvements and then Charles Street improvements. And I think the reality is that most, if not all of these would not be being done if we were not doing the project.
Exactly.
So I think that's kind of where it's at, is that this is really kind of integral to the overall idea of the project. Like Jenny mentioned earlier, some of the additional parking along Charles Street is kind of part of the whole plan with the drop-off loop here and the additional parking, things of that nature.
Yeah, and that's an important point. Were it not for this project, we wouldn't be doing this at all. And even with the project, if it's not funded through this project, we may not be doing it at all because there's no other funding source. And, this is something neighbors have asked for. It's certainly a safety issue, crosswalks. So we think it fits in and makes perfect sense.
It's not absolutely necessary to do for the project, is what I'm getting
at. Not absolutely necessary, meaning if we don't do it, the project won't go forward.
That's why it's an alternate.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, it's an alternate. It's not in.
So the project is viable without it.
I would say yes. I defer to the OPM on it, but it would be. But this would be a very valuable add-on.
Yeah,
I would argue
the warrant article included the language and all other costs incidental and related thereto. which I think is fairly broad language that probably covers this pretty well.
Yeah, and that's why we keep it broad.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is we presented these as added alternates with the MSBA before, and I don't believe they took any exception. We can certainly follow back with them again to make sure that they understand that we intend to move forward with these, and if there's any issue, I'm sure that they would bring that to light as well.
I can read the whole language into the record if you would like, Mr. Coot. From the article. So to see if the town will vote to appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds an amount of money to be expended under the direction of the Killam School Building Committee to design, construct, reconstruct, remodel, add to, equip, and furnish a new pre-K through grade 5 elementary school to replace the J.W. Killam Elementary School with an approximate square footage of 122,941. Located at 333 Charles Street, Reading, assessor's parcel, blah, 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 inclusive of the abatement and demolition of the existing school structures on said property, the design and construction of new parking lots and new multipurpose fields, and all other costs incidental and related thereto, which school facilities shall have an anticipated useful life as an educational facility for the instruction of school children of at least 50 years, and for which the town may be eligible for a school construction grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority. There's a little bit more, but it just acknowledges the grant information.
Yeah.
Construct, reconstruct, remodel.
The fact that MSBA won't have anything to do with it is kind of contrary to an idea that it's included.
No, Mike Carroll does a really good job of explaining this piece about the way that the grants work and what they allot for offsite improvements so that there is equity given to school building projects, whether it's rural or urban or suburban and so forth. And I would defer to Mike, but he does a very nice job of explaining that while it may not be included, these offsite improvements may not be included in the grant, it is not the intention to exclude that particular work from the project, and it all works together. It would almost seem like an oversight on the part, my opinion, of the committee if we didn't do it, because people would be like, why didn't you do this when you were here opening the road anyway, and you've left these pieces undone? It would, but I would defer to Mr. Carroll.
Yes. So Jane, just as far as the offsite improvements here, the MSBA is not excluding the offsite improvements. What the MSBA does is they do have caps on certain items. They have caps, for example, on site work at 10% of the construction value. And I think I've explained to probably some, if not everybody here before. I did a project years ago in Revere, which the 4 sides of the building were touching sidewalks on all 4 sides. And we still exceeded the 10% site work cap on that project. So while I understand the process the MSBA goes under, they are trying to do equity, to your point, Jane, whether it's that Revere site, which is a very urban site without fields, or if you go out to Western Mass and somebody's doing, a field house and track and field and 6 baseball fields and everything else, they're trying to get an equity there. So I applaud them for putting a cap in there. I think the cap is probably a little lower than it should be. It should probably be a little bit higher percentage, I think, in general, but they do put a cap there. And I will tell you, without a doubt, without this work, we're over the cap already on the site. That's what I've seen on every project I've ever done. I thought that Revere project would be the first one that didn't go over the cap, and even that one did. So it's very similar. They don't allow for abatement costs. They don't allow for OPM over 3.5% or designer over 10%. There's lots of different caps that they put in there, but there's nothing specific to the offsite work here. And I think, as we said, maybe a couple times already, I think if not for the project, the work wouldn't be happening. And I think in general, this is making the site a lot safer for the students, because we have to realize that the students are coming for school, for education at the school, but many of those students are coming from this neighborhood, right? They might be walking in, or they might be dropped off. And I think having, the parking that we're proposing on Charles Street, and having the crosswalks adjusted, and even the Dana Road being narrowed down a little bit, just, it's all for safety. It's all for safety. It's also actually for better flow for the buses to come and go, and for the parents to come and go, and in the vein of being good neighbors to the neighborhood, I think it's going to show a great improvement in traffic in that area. But we're not doing it for the traffic. We're really doing it for the kids and for the school itself.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jane. Any other comments?
One question, Mike, have you given any thought to when this work would be done in the project schedule? Phase 1, phase 2, special phase over the summer?
I haven't thought about it a lot, but it's definitely something we should think about, Pat. So I think, there's kind of two ways to go about this. We can dictate it, or we can get the contractor on board and have some discussions with them. But I think to your point, certainly doing some of this over the summer might be advantageous. I think the other thing that I always like to do whenever I'm doing paving, for example, I like to try and get the early work done early, get the binder down, and let it sit for a season, like let it sit over the winter, so that you have any frost heaves or anything that develop. If there is any poor areas of asphalt, we can find them before we do the finish coat. So my initial thought would be the sooner the better, as far as getting the general work done, and then maybe you let it sit over the winter, you come back, and that does require you to kind of raise the structures again, do a second round of the structures. But I think from a long-term viability standpoint, that's something that I always recommend it on the sites, and on a roadway, I would probably recommend a very similar approach.
Okay. It's gotten to be a increasingly complicated site. Geothermal wells, contaminated soils, occupied site, off-site road improvements. So it's something that's gonna need to be given a lot of thought in the next several months, how it gets phased.
Yeah, and to your point, you might do one road first and then the other, so you're not kind of taking up everything, right?
Yeah, kind of boxing in the site if you're doing both at the same time. It'll be a busy spot, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, with that in mind, maybe we're doing Charles Street while we're doing the school on the other side, and then you kind of flip flop so that you're doing Haverhill Street once the school's in. I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little bit, but it's certainly something we can come back to you folks on with some better thought.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Do we need a vote?
I just have
Chris has his
something.
hand.
Chris has his hand up.
Thanks, and thanks, Carla. I think just like the Fieldhouse project, I felt a majority of that was covered by the warrant article. I think this one is similar in that fashion, and it helps that we're trending under budget, because if we weren't, this would be a different conversation. So I'm all for it.
And the fact that it's an ad alternate allows us to not include it, or include it depending on when the bids come in.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we need a motion for 2 ad alternates. Is that how we want to make this motion, or? Okay,
Yes, please.
so do you need 2 separate motions, or just one motion to make it into 2?
One motion.
Okay.
Which
one's first?
Yeah, which is the first of the 2? The Haverhill, I would say the Charles Street is the first. Okay, move to add 2 alternates to the project for off-site improvements, with Charles Street being alternate number 1 and Haverhill Street being alternate number 2.
Second.
Seconded by Pat. Any more discussion? Okay, moving to the vote. Pat?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Carla, yes. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And we will go to prior meeting minutes of 11/12. Do we have a motion for that?
They're moved to accept the meeting minutes dated 11/12/25.
Second.
Seconded by Pat. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Pat?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
And Carla, yes. Thank you. Anybody have any future agenda items? Our next meeting isn't until January. And we're moving to the 3rd, right? Nope.
Third Monday.
What was that?
Third Monday.
The 19th.
It would be the 3rd Monday, but that's Martin Luther King,
It's the 19th.
so it would go to the Tuesday, 20th.
I put the calendar on the screen, Carla.
Oh, you're the best.
Boom.
I think we're seeing ourselves.
Oh, that's funny, we can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, all right.
So the
Maybe-
20th,
maybe
yeah,
we're-
it says the 20th.
I had something in front of it, sorry.
So it's, our next meeting is January 20th, and we'll have the XLT, on the 12th. Perfect. Any other items that people want to, add to future agendas? No? Okay. One more motion?
Yeah, move to adjourn?
Second.
Non-negotiable. I want to say before we vote that I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. I really appreciate, I know I know probably everybody on this committee appreciates all the work that, that our consultants and our employees and our volunteers have done. So, the project is going really well, and it's going really well because we have a lot of talented people and a lot of hard workers. So, thank you to everyone.
Thank you to you.
Thank you, too.
Thank you.
And we will vote to adjourn. Pat,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
and Carla. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.